This is the Louie T Network. Hey, either you're outside or you're
in the lab room.
Who else could it be? Me, you're me. Louie T, welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I am your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Wow, combine coverage. Just put a bow on that on Sunday. Monday, as a matter of fact. Turn around and Tuesday is the last day to franchise tag a player, which means right around the corner, looming, is the start of free agency. We're going to talk about that here in a second, but tag, you're it. 10 players, 10 teams decided to tag players and not allow them to test free agency as unrestricted free agents. We're going to talk about those players that got the tag. Sometimes it's hard to make that sharp left turn back around, away from the draft coverage and back to players that actually play in the National Football League. We're talking free agency, and sometimes you get caught up in that draft talk and forget about free agency. And this is why I laugh and I poo-poo people who make 18 mocks. My 3.7 mock draft, my 19.27 mock draft. Because there's no way of telling who's drafting who before we hit free agency. Free agency shapes and molds what teams are going to do in the draft. And so it's funny to me that we see all of these post-combine mock draft. What are you doing? There's nothing to talk about draft-wise in terms of a mock until free agency takes place. I'm going to talk about free agency here on this very program. I thank you for joining me once again. Let's talk about those 10 players that tagged. You're it. Got tagged either by the franchise or transitional tag on Tuesday, March the 1st. We start with the biggest name on that list, Denver Broncos outside linebacker Von Miller. We all saw what he was able to do in the Super Bowl en route to not only a Super Bowl victory, but Super Bowl MVP. Everybody's looking for their Von Miller. Let me tell you out there, people, they don't grow on trees, okay? Khalil Mack's don't grow on trees, and neither do Von Millers. These guys are so rare. The Broncos, they could have slapped the franchise tag on one of a number of players. Malik Jackson comes to mind. They also would have loved to have retained Brock Osweiler as well. Now, I know they wouldn't have wanted to franchise him and pay him that much money to keep him around, but Von Miller was the most important of the group. That's why they slapped the franchise tag on him. And he's looking to break the bank, and he already said, look, I want a stupid amount of money. And the baseline for our contract talks starts with the deal that Justin Houston got in Kansas City last year. I think it was 6 years, $101 million with a huge signing bonus. Let's start there. We're going to go up from there, though. We're not going to just stay there. Let's start there and we'll move our way up and see what we can get to. So that's an interesting negotiation. Let's see where that goes. I think the Broncos and Von Miller are far apart right now. We'll see if they get closer once we near that July 15th deadline to sign a long-term deal. Redskins quarterback Kirk Cousins. To me, this was a no-brainer. Again, Redskins in a situation where you got to have a quarterback. They would have loved to have seen more of a larger sample size of Kirk Cousins, but at the end of the day, I think the question was more about transitional tag versus franchise tag. You can't leave your quarterback dangling out there with the transitional tag and not get any compensation back for him. The right of first refusal is not enough to ensure you anything, and so I think the franchise tag was the way to go for the Redskins, and that's exactly what they did with Kirk Cousins. Right now, he is slated to be paid the highest salary of any quarterback next season at $19.95 million. Redskins looking to strike a long-term deal with Cousins before that July 15th deadline. Panthers cornerback Josh Norman, franchise tag. Again, another one of these guys looking to break the bank, and he should be. And because of that, negotiations not exactly where they need to be at the March the 1st deadline. So because of that, can't let Josh Norman walk. He's a big part of that Panthers defense and allows them to get away with a lot of the things that they do schematically. Got to keep him on this roster. He's a big part of what they want to do moving forward. Hence, they slapped him with the franchise tag. Bears, Alshon Jeffrey, never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. Bears wide receiver, lock him up. They got Kevin White on the mend. They feel good about what they got And they got 2 first-round picks this year. You get Kevin White back as a first-rounder from last year, so that's a first-round pick. Then you get another first-round pick. If you're the Bears, you feel good about that. You get Alshon Jeffrey back in the mix, and you feel like, hey, man, we could have an offense that could score with the best of them if we can get everybody on the same page and get this thing rolling in the right direction. And I think Alshon Jeffrey is a part of their future, and they feel that way, and that's why they franchise tag him. Jets, defensive lineman, Muhammad Wilkerson, franchise tag. I was really hoping the Jets would allow this guy to hit the market. And I said maybe, just maybe, that ACL tear at the end of the season in the very last game was going to be enough to allow the Jets to say, you know what, you can walk, but they're smarter than that. They know that this guy is the best defensive lineman that they have, and he's in the prime of his career, and letting him walk right now would be foolish. They lock him up with the franchise tag for another year in hopes of working a long-term deal out with Muhammad Wilkerson. Chiefs, Eric Berry, safety. The feel-good story of 2015. I mean, this guy was diagnosed with a form of cancer. He goes out, trains, gets rid of the cancer. It comes back better, stronger, faster than ever. It's just a remarkable story. And to see where he is now from where he was just a mere year ago is absolutely mind-boggling. And to see the way he performed on the field in 2015, nothing short of remarkable. Eric Berry deserves every single penny that is coming his way, and I hope that he gets the long-term deal that he's looking for with the Kansas City Chiefs. But in the meantime, Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs, franchise tag Eric Berry and hopes of working out a long-term deal. Bills, offensive tackle Cordy Glenn. Look, say what you want about the Bills, but they know that the offensive tackle position, primarily left tackle, is one of those positions that you gotta have locked, stop away in this league. If you don't, you can have the best quarterback in the league, and if you can't protect him, you're going to have an offense that is stagnant and a quarterback that's going to be a shell of himself if you cannot keep him upright. And Cordy Glenn and tackles like him around the league are hard to find, and so Bills realize we got one of the better ones in the league. Might as well keep him here, donning the Buffalo Bills blue for years to come. Looking to work out a long-term deal with Cordy Glenn, but in the meantime, slap the tag on him. Let's negotiate until July 15th. Ravens, kicker Justin Tucker. My man, just incredible. Gets a franchise tag. And every now and again, we see this where kickers get franchised. And look, I'm a firm believer in guys who put points on the scoreboard. I want them on my team. And to me, there's no better kicker in the league. Maybe the Cowboys in their kicking situation may be just as good, slightly better with Dan Bailey. But I tell you what, Justin Tucker, for me, for my money, is the guy that I want kicking in pressure-packed situations. The guy is money, and he's a big-time clutch kicker for the Ravens. Made a boatload of big kicks for them. I'm thinking back to his rookie season in 2012 when they won the Super Bowl. He was just as clutch as anybody else on that football team. So to me, he's a guy that the Ravens know we need him around. Hell, without Justin Tucker, I don't know if the Ravens win. What did they win? 5 games last year? I don't know if they win 5 games last year. I can remember him making that kick against the Steelers on that, was it a Monday night game? Sunday night game? One of those days, Thursday night? One of those games, he made a field goal to win the game. It's what he does. I don't have a problem with the kicker getting a franchise tag when it's guys like just incredible Justin Tucker gets the franchise tag in Baltimore. Dolphins, defensive end Olivier Vernon doesn't get a franchise tag, gets a transitional tag. The difference between the two, Dolphins don't get any compensation when you slap a franchise tag on a player. If it's non-exclusive, that means, hey, your player is able to go out and seek a deal from another team. However, if that team puts an offer sheet on the table and you don't match, that team is going to have to surrender 2 first-round picks. If you put an exclusive franchise tag on your player, he can't talk to anybody. It's just you and that player negotiating over the next, what are we talking, 3 months or so, trying to hammer out a deal before the July 15th deadline. If you put a transitional tag on a player, you just get the right of first refusal. Meaning, if a player goes out, finds a team that's willing to put an offer sheet on them, all you can do is go back and take that contract from him and say, all right, let me see these numbers. All right, we'll match that deal, okay? So you get the right of first refusal. You get to say, hey, we'll pay you the same thing they're gonna pay you. You're staying here. That's the only thing that the transitional tag affords you. Other than that, if you say, that's a lot of money. That's like $5 million more that we wanted to pay you. Hey, go ahead. Have at it, man. Good luck with your new team. You don't get anything for it. So Dolphins value Olivier Vernon. They're telling him, hey, go find out what your market is. Come back to us. We'll match it if it's reasonable. So they're going to still sign him most likely if anything comes about in free agency, but they slapped him with the transitional tag, did the Miami Dolphins. And finally, I'm calling myself Los Angeles Rams, L.A. Rams, franchise tag cornerback Trumaine Johnson. They got it right, and for a long time there, I was thinking they were going to pick the wrong corner and franchise tag Janoris Jenkins. That's not the better of the two, and I've been telling people for a very long time that Trumaine Johnson is the better of those two corners. Janoris Jenkins most certainly doesn't think so, and he's on his way out, and he doesn't want to go back to St. Louis, to LA. He feels disrespected because of that, and so he'll be on his way. But they did the right thing. They got it right. They got the right man. Now they need to try to lock him up. Man had 7 picks last season. He's a ball player, and they got the right man at the cornerback position for the LA Rams. So those are your franchise tags / transitional tags handed out by the first of the month deadline. And now we go to some notables before we get out of here. Roddy White, released by the Atlanta Falcons after 11 seasons. We saw the writing on the wall last year. He was a shell of himself. I think he's still got some football left, but we'll see if he's able to find work. He's already come out and said, hey, I would love to play at least 1, probably 2 more years in the league. I think I can still play. We'll see if he gets an opportunity to do exactly that. Janoris Jenkins, just talked about him, the aforementioned Janoris Jenkins. Going to be one of the most highly sought after cornerbacks in the market. Guy can play, very susceptible to double moves, very nosy, but he is a playmaker, and so we'll see where he lands in free agency. Doug Martin, Doug E. Thrash, a guy that I thought the Buccaneers were gonna hold on to, and there's still time between now and the 9th of March when free agency gets kicked off and underway for them to strike a long-term deal. If they don't, he could be out there dangling around for some team to come calling. I don't like the fact that he fumbles as much as he does, but this guy is a productive back, got back on track last season. He was a huge part of what the Buccaneers did. I'd hate to see him leave Tampa Bay, but the man's got to do what the man's got to do. Mario Williams, just released by the Buffalo Bills, probably his worst season of his career last year, 5 sacks, a bunch of controversy. He's looking for a fresh start. I think he can still help someone along the defensive line. I think he needs to be in a 4-3 defense. No more 3-4, no more standing up, none of that stuff. Put his hand in the dirt, 3-point stance, let the man rush after the quarterback, no dropping in the coverage, none of that nonsense. Let him do what he was made to do, and that's hunt quarterbacks. I think he's got something left in the tank. Let's see if he finds a home, and where is it? Alex Mack opted out of the last 3 years of his deal in Cleveland to test the free agent market. He's going to find a new home. He's going to have some suitors. Let's see where Alex Mack ends up. Probably tired of losing and tired of all the turmoil and controversy and dysfunction in Cleveland. He's looking for a fresh, new start. He'll get that in free agency. Matt Forte, to me, he's got New England Patriot written all over him. We know the Patriots love veteran football players. We saw them do it with Corey Dillon. We've seen them do it with guys like Randy Moss, guys that still have something left to prove, that want to win late in their careers. They go to New England and they do that. I see Matt Forte adding his name to the list of offensive football players that have something left in the tank, that go to New England and get a chance to win. Robert Griffin III hasn't been released yet, but it's coming. Redskins looking for a trade, not going to get it. He's going to get released. I think there are a number of teams looking for a quarterback that can come in and compete. I think Robert Griffin III fits that bill, and I think he's the best of the quarterbacks that are going to hit the market. I look for Robert Griffin III to have a bunch of suitors calling him up for his services. Brock Osweiler, to me, another intriguing quarterback. To me, he's the top guy if you're looking for a quarterback. I think everybody loves Robert Griffin III and what he brings to the table from an athletic standpoint, but Brock Osweiler, to me, is a guy that's young, big arm, sat behind Peyton Manning, learned how to get it done at this level. I like what I saw from him in his, 5 starts, I think it was this season, 6 starts if I'm not mistaken. I think there is some potential in Brock Osweiler. Broncos would love to have him back, but if he can go out and find some money, and I'm telling you right now, there are some starving teams that would love to have Brock Osweiler as their quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised if he does not go back to Denver. We'll see what happens between now and the 9th and the start of free agency and beyond. Malik Jackson, to me, is the biggest fish in this free agency pond. If you're looking for a guy that can help you change the game defensively, look no further than Malik Jackson. He's looking for $12 million plus per year. Somebody's going to pay it to him, and he deserves it. The guy is probably the most best kept secret in the National Football League. The guy is one of the most disruptive defensive tackles in all of the National Football League, and he deserves to be paid like it, and he will be when free agency gets underway. Chris Ivory, a back that has taken a lot of punishment throughout his career, but I think if you're looking for a physical, in between the tackles runner with great vision and the ability to jump cut and get to the outside, Chris Ivory is your man. He's got a little bit of football left in him, but there are a lot of tread that has been worn off of those tires, and I thought he took a beating last season in New York with the Jets. But again, if you're looking for a back to come in, tote the rock, do a little bit of everything, catch it out of the backfield, pass protect, Chris Ivory's your man. Probably the most physical running downhill runner in the free agency class this year. Lamar Miller. If Chris Ivory is a downhill thumper, this guy is the direct opposite. This is a speed guy looking to get to the outside and showcase those talents. I think he can run in between the tackles as well, but I think where he is best served is getting outside and getting into space. And Lamar Miller is a guy that I would love the Redskins to try to pick up because he offers a change of pace. We got a big physical back in Matt Jones. Who? Matt Jones! I'd love to see him paired up with a guy like Lamar Miller that can hit the home run with devastating speed. A guy to me under the radar at the receiver position, Marvin Jones of the Cincinnati Bengals. Look, this isn't a number one receiver, but if you're looking for a complimentary receiver, if you're like the Texans and you don't want to spend an early first round pick or pick for that matter at all in the draft on a receiver, a Marvin Jones comes in and complements Nuke beautifully. To me, Marvin Jones is the guy that no one's talking about at the receiver position that can come in and immediately make your offense better. And I think someone's going to realize the talent that is Marvin Jones and give him an opportunity to shine in free agency. Chris Long, James Laurinaitis, we saw both of these guys released as the Rams looked to cut bait so that they could slap the franchise tag on Trumaine Johnson and even give their head coach an extension. Looks like they're working on that right now with Fisher. But I think James Laurinaitis still got some good football left in him. I'm not as sure about Chris Long and how much he has left in the tank. We'll see. I felt like his play has been declining because of the injuries over the last couple of years. But when he's healthy, he's a guy that can still get to the quarterback, still put pressure on the quarterback. But I think of the two, Laurinaitis is the one that still has some football left in him. A guy that you can count on to be on the field, snap in, snap out, make plays. He was their leading tackler in St. Louis last year for the Rams. And so I feel like if you're looking for a guy to come in and instantly upgrade your linebacking core, James Laurinaitis could be that guy for a year or two. Those are some of the most notable free agents. That's the franchise tag players. That is my intro into free agency. We'll have a lot more discussion as we get closer to free agency. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down everything. And not everything. National Football League. Redskins. Off-season needs. Big Forum tomorrow, live, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Redskins fan, not a Redskins fan, join me anyway. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.
There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie T, be sure to follow me on Twitter at In The Lab Room, or you can like the Facebook page at In The Lab Room. That's In The Lab Room on Facebook and at In The Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.